Hello everybody, my name is JD Shadow. This is a special report, your news and views program about gaming and beyond. Coming up in the show today, Nvidia has to admit that the 970s don't work as intended, as anything above 3.5 gigabytes being used makes people experience performance issues in games. And AOL is rumored to be shutting down the long-time running video game website Joystiq. My name is JD Shadow. The special report is going to start right about now. Well, it does seem that Nvidia is in a bit of hot water right now. It has had to respond to claims that its praised 970 GTX is only using 3.5 gigabytes of its advertised 4 gigabytes of VRAM. It has resulted in performance drops or stuttering of games that pass over the threshold, mainly in those that run games at a higher resolution, say 1440p and 4K resolutions. The company has now revealed that the published specifications for the GTX 970 were partially incorrect. Nvidia's senior VP of GPU engineering, Jonah Albine, spoke to PC Perspective and he said, quote, "Despite initial reviews and information from Nvidia, the GTX 970 actually has fewer ROPs and less L2 cache than the GTX 980. Nvidia says this was an error in the reviewer's guide and a misunderstanding between the engineering team and the technical PR team on how the architecture itself functioned. That means the GTX 970 has 56 ROPs and 1792 kilobytes of L2 cache compared to the 64 ROPs and 2048 kilobytes of L2 cache for the GTX 980. While that's not a bottleneck in of itself, the reduced number of ROPs does affect the memory subsystem of the GPU. They had to divide the 4 gigabytes of VRAM into two separate pools, one that had 3.5 gigabytes and one that had 0.5 gigabytes. That means that those games that have large textures and those that ran at 1440p and above in resolutions are seeing the drop in performance. In a statement, Nvidia claimed that this would be around a 3% drop. However, Nvidia only checked of the overall FPS performance and not the stuttering that some users have experienced. This caused some people to launch a change.org petition wanting a refund for the incorrect specifications that were listed on the card. However, in an update to the story, PC Perspective said that Nvidia had posted in its official GeForce.com forums that they are working on a driver update to help alleviate memory performance issues in the GTX 970, and that they will help out those users looking to get a refund or exchange. Now, for most users, this is probably going to not mean a whole hell of a lot. I run at 1080p, and because of that, I'm probably not going to see any bit of performance issues if I go ahead and buy these 970s that I want to get. However, for those high-end users, for those people who have high-end monitors, for those people who have the 4K resolutions and the 1440p resolutions, this is going to really suck, especially if you're running a high-performance game. And really, the fault has to be blamed on Nvidia for not making it clear of how they're going about using the memory, of how it's going to access the memory, and what the ramifications might be if someone were to have some sort of high-end game that actually uses large textures and stuff like that. And this also might put a burden on people who are trying to get those cards, who are looking into buying those cards in order to be used in their machines. Of course, those people who are using high-end machines are probably going to go through the 980s instead. This is a cost-cutting method, and this is the reason why the 970s are cheaper than those of the 980s. However, given that Nvidia still has to be blamed for not actually explaining the issue right out of the gate. It took a little bit of time for them to actually say this. Despite that, though, the fact that they are still highly praised is something to be considered, that Nvidia is right now the king of the video card race right moment. It is not really slowing them down at all. I mean, I personally was one of the last holdouts, have been one of the last holdouts on the ATI Radeon cards, and mine is about like 4 years old, so it's time for me to make an upgrade. And I was looking into getting these 970s in order to upgrade my system. That's real big upgrade that I do need. And to hear about this, hear about these performance issues by some people who have these high-end monitors, puts me off slightly, although I don't see anybody making it too big of a deal. Given that, I see the change.org petition to be both a blessing and a curse. Again, this is false advertising. They did say that 4.0 gigabytes of memory were available in these video cards, and it's only using 3.5 gigabytes correctly. So they do have a right to complain about it. They do have a right to speak up about it, but to immediately say we want a refund or we want an exchange, I don't know quite yet. NVIDIA has said that they are working on some sort of solution, so let's wait and see what this driver does. But one thing that I would like to have seen NVIDIA do is to test it out on SLI systems, because that's another thing that I was considering of going SLI support. I probably should have right out of the gate, but again, I was building my computer back in the day that I really didn't have really much of an idea what I was doing. I certainly do now, though, now that it's 2015 and I know a good bit more about building one. But I would like to see if SLI support would alleviate this issue. Having that additional memory would be helpful. That having been said, we have been seeing that some games will not use SLI correctly or will not distinguish that there is SLI present in your system, so they will only use one video card, and that could create a whole bunch of issues. Even if you have SLI support, this bug will rear its ugly head and will only cause even further issues onto those games that are not optimized right to be played on a PC, namely Assassin's Creed Unity. And if you're playing that game, what the hell is wrong with you? Ubisoft effed that up beyond belief. Now, if you go onto the PC Perspective story, and the link is going to be in the description below this video, there's a whole lot of mumbo-jumbo that the average user is probably not going to understand as to what exactly they ran as far as tests and what they came up with. What I would like to have seen on the PC Perspective story is the performance in a real-world issue, some sort of game that would run into a problem if they would have to access the additional 0.5 gigabytes of memory that are causing the issue. All these numbers and all these specifications are for high-end users, and somebody who is not that keen as to understanding what they are going to read when they look at this story, they would be better off to see a real-world example. I would be better off seeing a real-world example just to find out just what exactly we are talking about when we're talking about frame rate drops. Is it that bad of a frame rate drop, or is it significantly noticeable that you are experiencing it? What about the stuttering issues? They didn't test for that. What about any other complications that could be had as a direct result? Are there any crashes that are being experienced? There are a lot of particulars that would be better off with someone actually playing through a game and experiencing these issues on a 970. And again, I would like to see whether or not SLI support does either hinder the issue further, or does it rectify it? Is it a workaround to go SLI? But if you're going to go SLI, you're going to have to buy another video card, and these are already $300 a pop. Who's to say that somebody has another $300 to just burn like that? If you're going to use $300 to buy another video card, you might as well just do the refund and go with the 980s if you're that concerned about it. But be it as it may, perhaps the SLI support does alleviate some of the pressure that the other video card would have. And a real-world situation would also provide another form of proof that whether or not it is worth it to really wait until a driver comes out to buy these things, or to splurge on the 980s. Is it a marketing strategy from NVIDIA to get people to buy the 980s a little bit more than with the 970s, which are about $500, $600 a pop? That is the highest end video card that NVIDIA has, unless you're talking about the Titan, which in that case, you're looking at a $1,000 or $2,000 video card. Is it NVIDIA's way of saying, hey, buy the 980s, those are actually the specifications that we are listing on our site? But then you get to that whole point as if they are not listing these correctly, what other specifications are they not listing correctly? Are the 980s gimped? Are the Titans gimped? Are anything else gimped because of the specifications not being correctly listed on their site? Whether or not it is noticeable to the average user or not, the fact of the matter is that NVIDIA screwed the pooch on this one, and they have to fix it immediately in order to alleviate the issues that many people are experiencing and to alleviate the situation with this petition. I don't think we're in a refund situation quite yet. Let's wait until the drivers come out, and then when that happens, if it doesn't fix the issue, then probably you have a case for a refund or an exchange. And if they do decide to exchange the product, what are they going to give them in exchange for it? A lower end video card, or are they going to give them a 980 or a 970 that actually works right? Especially if they are doing SLI support. Many people might already be doing SLI support. Please leave a comment down below if you are experiencing this issue with the 970, and or if you are doing the SLI support, if it alleviates the issue in any sort of way. As somebody who is looking into buying one of these, or maybe two of these, I am intrigued by this as much as anybody else would be, because it might deviate me from buying them, or it may be a non-issue. We'll make sure that everything is on the up and up, and we'll keep you informed of this story here on the special report. Well, according to Recode, AOL is likely to shut down its primary video game site Joystiq as part of an extensive house cleaning of its underperforming content properties that is taking place over the next few weeks. Now, Joystiq had a bit of fun about this particular topic, saying on a story, quote, "AOL is likely to shutter Joystiq, reports Recode. Hey, wait a minute, that's us. Well, we may as well handle this the same way we've been covering the video game industry for 10 years. We do not comment on rumors or speculation," one staffer told us, wishing to remain anonymous, preparing for the lucrative PR career. Others are still trying to figure out next steps. Another anonymous staffer said, "We're still working until we can't." Sources tell Joystiq that the staff is aware of the closure, but corporate hasn't officially told them, so they are unable to acknowledge anything out of concern that it will cause immediate shutdown. "We've reached out for more information. We will update as we always have when we know more." And this is very, very sad to see a website that is distinguished as Joystiq, one that has seemingly turned a corner and has dropped numerical review scores from the website in their reviews, to have this happen to them. There might be a few reasons as to why this is happening right in the moment from AOL. However, I'm not going to go into a few of those because, quite frankly, I don't want to open the can of worms once again. However, let's get to the obvious that people are going to blame: Adblock. Ever since Adblock came around, many websites have shunned it. They have said that if you run Adblock on their site, you might be subject to a ban. Even mentioning Adblock might get you a ban on places like NeoGAF and on The Escapist. Now, me being personally, I don't see too much of a problem with having Adblock running, because quite frankly, some websites go overboard with their pop-ups and their ads, and some ads might contain harmful things that might infiltrate your computer and do all sorts of nasty things. However, that having been said, some trusted sites should be whitelisted, and people should look to see what those websites are, and they should look into if they trust the website enough in order to know that they're not going to attempt to put any malware or adware onto your computer, to go ahead and whitelist those sites from Adblock. There is a reason why Adblock does exist. However, that having been said, there are times in which it is benefiting to the website that you do trust to whitelist them in order for them to continue to pay the bills. Now, granted, there are other ways you can make money, be it an Amazon Associates account, perhaps Patreon, perhaps something else altogether. It doesn't have to be banner ads. And the other thing that we have to consider is that some of these sites are doing clickbait articles. They are just using top 10 lists in which you have to click a next button every time you want to see the next entry in their list. That is an annoyance to many people, and many people will just not go to those sites if they continue to use those clickbait articles. But if you're actually going to a game site and they are putting tons and tons of junk onto your computer every time you go to it through a banner ad or something similar, then you probably shouldn't go to that site anyway, because you probably shouldn't trust their stories. If they're doing that to your computer, how in the hell are you supposed to trust them to have unbiased reporting of video games and unbiased reviews of those said games? If you do trust the site, you should be whitelisting them. However, there is a place for Adblock in the world. You don't need to be condemning it. However, you do have to use it responsibly. But let's get to the other reason why I do believe that Joystiq is in the verge of a shutdown. It is because, quite frankly, many people do not trust print media anymore. They are going to viral media. They're going to YouTube. They're going to any other viral site in order to have a peer-to-peer relationship with them, because they do believe that those people have a real-world reaction to the games that are being played, and they seem to have a good understanding of the content that they are playing, and they will tell you the honest truth, and they are not held down by things like embargoes, things like NDAs. And if they are, like Total Biscuit usually is, he will tell you the god honest truth about a particular game, whether or not you will like it or otherwise. Many print media sites have lost that edge. They have lost that battle, and they do have to adapt really, really quickly, or else they're going to further lose their place in the marketplace, because We have seen how places like Kotaku has lost the trust of the public. We have seen how places like NeoGAF has suddenly fallen from grace in recent years. We have seen how these print media websites have not adapted to viral media, and because of that, they have fallen from grace. They have. Now, some sites like The Escapist, some sites like Giant Bomb, they have survived because they understand a little bit about how viral media is working right now in forms of podcasts and in forms of things like Twitch, things like YouTube or Dailymotion. These people are trusted a whole lot more right now because it is sort of somebody who is a real person in the eyes of many talking to you instead of somebody who might have a bit of elitism and a little bit of nepotism talking at you. And that is a big difference. It's sort of, okay, you are talking as a person who is just a normal game player like you or I, and not somebody who is being told to do this and that and this and that. They are more genuine. They are more real. And it's because of that that people are going to them more. In 2008, 2009, when WoW Cataclysm was about to come out, I didn't go to a website. I didn't go to places like Kotaku or anything like that. I usually went to Total Biscuit's WoW Cata videos. And that is because he did an excellent job. That tells me, one, that he is as genuine as he is now, but also because he does his job right. He does everything that he is supposed to do. He's criticizing the game when it needs criticizing. He is praising the game when they deserve praise, and he is being real with you, and he's being upfront, and he is being trustworthy. What about if you want to find out about a particular single-player game? You might go to someone like Jesse Cox or somebody on Twitch like Boogie, or maybe the Oscast if you're talking about Minecraft. What if you want to talk about another MMO like Guild Wars 2? I'm not going to a website. I'm not going to Kotaku. I'm not going onto places like Giant Bomb or anything like that. I'm watching Bog Artist videos. I'm watching Orapichi's channel. And that's because all those people, and probably more other people, Markiplier, PewDiePie, definitely PewDiePie, he's gotten 6 million subscribers, and that's probably growing as we speak. It's probably not even that anymore. It's probably to the 7 millions or something along those lines. Now you understand just how much people value this content. People value these sort of voices and how much they trust a YouTuber or perhaps somebody on the viral media circuit as opposed to somebody in the print media circuit. Fair or otherwise, it's not always going to be someone who you can't trust on these sites. It's not always going to be someone who does an awful job or does something that you shouldn't see any journalists actually do. There's going to be some good people, and despite what I have said, about some of these print media sites, the fact of the matter is that this is AOL deciding that they're going to shut down a website and not try to get a buyer. Has AOL tried to say, you know what, we don't want this in our portfolio anymore, so we are going to see if someone else will take it, see if someone's interested in a gaming media site in order to have these people keep their jobs, but let's cut our losses. Let's not even worry about people's health and well-being and their welfare. Let's not worry about anything like that. Let's just shut it down. Let's just cut our losses. You're playing with people's lives. You're playing with people's livelihoods. And you should look to see if there could be a potential buyer. There's a lot of people that could use a video game website and could use somebody like Joystiq. Joystiq has not been that relevant, but they could be. They have turned a corner with dropping review scores. So that is a plus, and many people are starting to like Joystiq a hell of a lot more now that they have done that. Because we talk about the Metacritic scores. We talk about how Metacritic has been a sort of bane in the video game industry right now. And for Joystiq to do that is a breath of fresh air. And maybe people have sided with Joystiq on that front. So they need to look into possibly selling it instead of just closing it down. But sell it to someone who's going to actually give a crap about the video game industry and not just wanting to make a quick buck off of it. Give it to somebody who actually knows something about the way the video game industry works. Give it to somebody who will take care of the franchise, somebody who will take care of Joystiq and will reshape it into a profitable industry. Make it into something that everybody wants to read, and to advertise it into something that changes the very foundation of the video game journalism scene. They have a very rich history, even though you might not agree with some of their stances of some things in the video game industry. The fact of the matter is that they have a very rich history, and that should not just be thrown away just because you're not getting the numbers that you are expecting. It might be a number of things. It might just be ad block running rampant. It may be because of the viral media scene. It may be because of something else altogether. Maybe because people don't trust their reviews, or maybe you're hiring the wrong people to run the place. We never know. We probably won't know. But if you are seeing losses and you are wanting to cut your license, instead, try to see if someone else will want it so these people can keep their jobs and keep their well-being going afloat. Especially in this time in the economy, people need to know that their jobs are going to be secure. And plus, we do need competition in the video game media scene anyway. This is a good thing for people to have. The viral media and the print media circuit are competition amongst each other, and they're healthy competition. Competition helps us to get better. Competition helps us to want to improve our brand, wants us to improve what we do. If we don't have a competition, then we'd have no reason to get better, and our products will all be stale, but no one else would be able to have any other alternative because there would be no one else out there. And it's not the kind of competition which makes us want to kill each other. It's the kind of competition that makes us want to get better, because we are all friends at the end of the day. Many of the people who are also in the viral media circuit are also friends of people in the print media circuit, and they want to see him get better. They want to see him succeed as much as they want to see us succeed. So it's not as if it is a nasty competition. At the end of the day, we are all gamers. We are all one. We are all colleagues and gamers at the end of the day. We all understand that competition always benefits the end user, bottom line. And because of that, AOL needs to sell the company other than just to shut it down altogether and not even be concerned about people's financial stability and their ability to get a job elsewhere. Joystiq has been known to employ some very cool people, and because of that, they should be commended for it, not punished in this sort of way. Please, AOL, #save Joystiq. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Special Report. My name is JD Shadow. That just happened.